Welcome, one and all, to Dane's World. Okay, we have Will on the program today. Forgot his last name. Will, a comedy producer, stand-up comedian, sometimes out of Davis slash Sacramento. This is a good one. This is one where the guest is. This is the first one where the guest has been really shit faced. And which I guess explains why there's so much politics and religion debate on this one. I'm gonna keep this intro pretty short. I have a lot of shit to do. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else? I guess I'll just plug one more time. I'll probably plug the show coming up on the 29th at Vince's every podcast intro until it happens. Full disclosure, so skip the intros if you don't want to hear that. I'm always trying to get people to skip the intros. That's probably not like a good strategy to have people try to get people to skip any part of my podcast. I should probably be trying to get people to listen to the whole thing, you know. But seriously, skip the intros. But even more seriously, come to Vince's Italian Restaurante on the 29th of May this month to see a great comedy show. Here, 1 minute. I'm going to pull up, make sure I have all the info. $3 at the door. If you're a comedian, you get in for free, obviously. But headliner T.C. Morgan, host Chris Allen, as well as Jordan Quattlebaum, David Rodriguez, Vic Q, Mark Maple, and Brent Buddha. I misspelled Mark's name on the poster because I'm just kind of careless. And it wasn't, it wasn't meant to be a slight on the Jews, spelling Mark the other way, or is that even a thing, or am I confused? I'm just thinking of the fact that, doesn't Mark Maron spell his name with a C, and he's Jewish? Hold on, 2 seconds. Mark Maron. Yeah, that's how he spells it, and he's Jewish. So I'm just kind of basing my guess that that's the Jewish spelling off of that. So I am not anti-Semitic, and no, but no, I fucked up Mark's name, and that does actually like point to a problem of just like I'm just absent-minded. I'm very just absent-minded. I kind of just whipped the poster up without any consent. Honestly, I just grabbed the necessary pictures, misspelled a name, I'll take my time, do it right next time. Shout out to Take Your Time, Do It Right by the SOS Band. Alright, sweet. We are going to get right into this interview with Will. Can't remember his last name. Sorry. Enjoy. Okay, round number 2. Nothing happened. Totally normal. We have Goodwill Hunting in the studio today. You're looking like Jesus over there, as drunk as Jesus. As drunk as Jesus, as opposed to being as sober as a Christian. That's a term, sober as a Christian. But Jesus, he got drunk. I mean, if there was a fucking...
I didn't know that Jesus got drunk.
I don't know. If there was even a historical Jesus. I mean, that's very dubious, even if there was a historical Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen that. Because, allegedly this was 2,000 years ago. We don't know what actually happened 2,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. You don't know how much of it is made up, and that includes Jesus. So like, I don't know. It's hard to think about, but that is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool if there was a historical Jesus, but probably not. Right. Yeah. Okay. So.
Anyway, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Don't be all formal. This is like we've been hanging out. This is.
No, I know what's up.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's get into it. We gotta do politics. Tell me about your The Amazing Atheist. Where'd you that was kind of your introduction, and he had like political stuff on there too, right? Just in the sense that he kind of would demonize the Christian right a lot, right? He would he would make fun of them.
So that's question number one.
Yeah.
And so that's like what you already said explains most of it. I don't have to add much to what you just said. For those listening, I'm just saying that like for those listening out there who are just meeting me, yes, like
Don't worry about those people. Don't worry about they'll catch up. You can just talk to them.
Really high.
Yeah, no, you're not queasy, are you?
No, I'm not queasy.
All right.
I'm just out of it.
I get you. Okay, The Amazing Atheist. Where'd you go from there? So that got you started down like.
It's just funny that you explained like my whole story as the question before I gave the answer.
I was catching people up to what you've already told me, which I think is. I mean, there wasn't much there.
But this is the first they've heard of me. So anyway, yes, what Dane said is correct. Is that as I just told him like an hour ago, because we've been hanging out all night, and now the podcast is just beginning.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, like yes, I listened to him when I was 10 years old.
That's all I said.
I found a video called Justin Bieber Sucks in the year 2010 when I was 10 years old. Uh-huh. Those facts alone, they add up. They make sense. You know why? Because YouTube videos existed in YouTube in 2010 that were just Justin Bieber hate videos because that's what got views. That's what was popular.
I never watched specifically Justin Bieber hate videos. Well, I might have watched some, but I watched a lot of why pop music sucks and why rock music is good. I felt like rock was dying and like pop was
That's a much better thing to be listening to than what I was listening to, because my honest stance about my own life, here's my assessment of my life for this podcast.
Your wife?
Is that my life my life with an L, like, is that I've been significantly influenced by number one, my parents, and number two, the internet. And I think that's kind of sickening in a lot of ways. Mm. Like, not necessarily that those two things are bad, but just that, like, it's just weird to think about, that you're not really who you think you are, and instead you're made up by a bunch of things. I think all humans are a bunch of clay that get molded by all the events and things that hurt them in life. If it's something that hurts them, like a sword that stabs a piece of clay and, like, punctures it, that's a scar that leaves a thing on the clay, a mold. And that's what happens to humans when something bad happens to them, like when their dad dies, or when their mom is mean to them, or when they're, or when their parents abuse them, or something, when trauma happens. And I'm not saying that I've had serious trauma, because I've honestly haven't compared to a lot of people. But like, your parents influence you, and then the internet provides like a solution to like your parents' influence, is the truth of a lot of people my age. In like Generation Z, and that includes you, and it includes people I know, people who like get ideas from these places that when you think about them don't seem legitimate. And here's what I mean by that, is like, you're talking about The Amazing Atheist, a YouTuber, and this is true, that I listened to this YouTuber, so I started...
Were your parents religious? Are they religious?
No. Well, so, okay, so to answer that question, my father is a Jewish man. He's a Jewish man, but he is not religious. He is atheist and he's a scientist, but he is of Jewish heritage. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about heritage, because Jewish is an ethnicity as well as a religion.
Yeah.
So I am half Jewish, but I'm not religious and I don't believe in God. Mm-hmm. And that comes from my dad. and my mom is Mexican, from her mother who's 100% Mexican and her father who's half Mexican. Mm-hmm. So my mom's actually 75% Mexican, which makes me 3/8 Mexican, but we're not going to go into that. I'm basically half, and so I don't speak the language. My mom was not taught the language. I'm basically whitewashed out of my Mexicanness, to make a long story short. So non-religious Jewish people are generally assimilated into white culture as is found in America, because I think a majority of Jews live in America and not even the rest of the world. I might be wrong about that, but at least a significant portion of the Jewish population, the entire global population, is America and like New York and all the population centers. There's like millions of Jews in America and like not as many in elsewhere. I could be completely wrong and I'm like face planting, but
no, but carry on.
But there's still, I know it's significant.
Point taken.
If it's not a majority, it's significant.
Yeah.
Which means that in America is like, these are Jews living in a Christian culture. Think about that. These are Jews who have their own religion. They're Jewish, but they're living in a majority Christian culture. And so they get washed away kind of, and that's what's happened. And that's fine. I don't take a real stance on that, but that's where I come from. Mm-hmm. Is my dad who largely gave up any religious value that came from his parents. Because my grandparents were raised religious, and then my dad sort of rejected it, mm-hmm. which extended to me. But my dad was an extremely unpolitical person. I'm a political person. My mom and dad are extremely unpolitical people, in addition to mainstream believers of views such as like liberalism and capitalism. Mm-hmm. Because I've seen my dad defend capitalism before, and it's weird to think about, but like, mm-hmm. that's just what happens.
Most people still will defend capitalism. It's not a majority that are. It's just really young people that are starting to be anti-capitalist.
Sure. So here's another thesis about my life: is like, if I had to pinpoint why I became a socialist, it's probably because of the internet, and I guess I have to thank it for that, because I'm satisfied with my beliefs at this moment.
So you were saying that I want to go back to you were saying your parents and the internet. So your parents were sort of what you were pushing against. That's what we all have to push against, right?
Everyone.
That's like what rock and roll is you carve out the bad shit from the old generations.
So for you, it's rock and roll.
Better. Well, that's like a rock and roll sort of ethos, right? But so for your parent, you were pushing against your parents with what you found on, but I mean, not even that hard really, because your parents were already pretty secular and also already generally left of center, just kind of apolitical.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so there wasn't that big of a gulf to bridge, really. So, right? I mean, maybe was there, or am I wrong?
Sure. No, you're right that like, it's a natural progression as far as what I believe.
It's the responsibility of young people to be further left than their parents.
And so, I'm just saying that that's who I am.
I get you. Okay, I understand it. Take me from amazing atheist.
It's good that you just summarized it, because that's basically what it is.
Okay, well, take me from amazing atheist. Who did you get into after that? In terms of sources of opinion and stuff.
So what happened next was that I got into Amazing Atheist in 2010, and I would just listen to his videos, and that's it. I didn't do anything political because I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because even though you like watch YouTube, I didn't like care about like fucking Congress. Mm-hmm. You know, you're 10. I'm 10. I'm playing video games. I don't care about Congress. Right. But I started to care about Congress when I was 16. Because that's when high school happened.
But let's talk about like public intellectuals, like the Amazing Atheist.
Okay,
like,
I get you.
Yeah, people
I understand what you mean now.
Yeah, where do you go from there?
So, in 2016, I started to listen to a lot of YouTube talk shows. I'm talking about YouTube like channels that just are like people who set up their mics and talk about news articles. Basically, they just pick news articles and just respond to them. Mm-hmm. It's actually quite a repeat. It's quite
repetitive.
It's quite like a simple formula when you think about it. Some of these YouTubers straight up just like take news articles and just state their opinion after having read it. All you need to do is fucking read and then talk, and then you can do this. You just have
Ideally,
to do it.
You want to joke.
So anyway, who did I listen to next? Okay, there's the YouTube channel Secular Talk
mm-hmm.
from the host Kyle Kaminski. I've listened to him since the year 2015. Then there's other channels such as the Young Turks or the Humanist Report or whatever. Those are the channels that I would watch almost every day or multiple times a week. And so I would repeat their talking points to my friends and attempt to be an ambassador of their kind of ideology within my own personality. Yeah. And when you think about that shit, it's so weird because sometimes you really get out of your head and think existentially for a moment and you realize that none of your obsessions need to be a part of you. And that's why I am at a crossroads right now when I'm 21 years old and I have to figure out what is going to happen with the rest of my life.
Right.
Now that the world is almost ended.
Saying talking points at your friends is not good. Having discussions about ideas is good. Like that realm of like politics, religion, art. I mean, it all connects, right? Philosophy. I mean, this stuff is about values. You know, it's about math or science, and it's not math or science. And then I think when you start to realize that, that's when it.
I don't study math or science in college right now.
Right on, me neither. I don't. Well, political science, but that's not really.
No, political science is not math or science. The word science is in political science, but there's no fucking science. Right. I'm telling you, there's no science right now. You have to take statistics, and that you can call that math, but I reject the statistics for politics also, and I'm not saying
what statistics specifically.
I'm not saying I don't believe it. I'm saying I don't want to do it. I'm studying politics, but I'm rejecting it in my own personal life.
You saying you're rejecting the statistics?
Sorry, that sounded suspicious. What I meant to say is that literally my major in college, I'm taking political science, and I'm just declaring how illegitimate it is with exaggerated claims. I believe in every single thing. I'm just saying that I won't study it.
Wait, okay, you're going to need to explain that for me. You believe in every single what? In every single thing. You believe in every single...
Sorry, I'm just high as shit and just said a bunch of stuff and backtracked on it.
You're saying that...
Okay,
maybe I should try to go back...
I don't reject statistics. I'm saying I won't... I took a statistics class and hated it. That's what the joke. I was trying to tell a joke with it.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, I probably could have picked up on it better. I'm not in a very humor headspace. I don't know. Sometimes I get like that.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay. So your
do you edit these podcasts?
Generally I don't. But I'm open to it. I don't know. I probably won't edit this one. It let the people in behind the curtain, right? But okay, so God, where do I? Okay, so yes, don't just spew talking points at your friends, right? There's a right and a wrong way to do politics. We need to be more engaged in politics, not less, as a culture, right? Because that's how democracy works. We want to have people engaged and educated and voting, right? And but strategically saying talking points at your friends is a bad call, right? And it's also
I agree with that.
It gets ad nauseum when you agree with someone about something. You don't want to just keep saying things based on presumptions of what the actual exchange of ideas is the good important thing, and activism is valuable and good, and leftism is a lot more. I'll just say this for anyone listening. Leftism is a lot more than electoral politics or governmental politics. It's also union organizers and just grassroots activism and stuff, and all of that is cool.
I think that some of the most important history in American history is the history of the labor movement and the unions in the United States who have conducted strikes and direct action campaigns, and yet none of that is taught in high school. I wasn't taught that in high school. I was taught that in fractions of classes in college. Yeah. And I find that disappointing about the American education system, is that I took political science, and yet I don't have intimate understanding. I only have a surface level understanding
of politics,
of history and politics, because that's what I believe. I don't believe in our institutions. I think they're dumb, and like, I think fundamentally our institutions like are not serving us.
So, and your dislike of our institutions prevented you from wanting to learn more about politics and history during your time in college?
I'm saying that I've been not motivated throughout college the majority of the time. I was motivated my freshman year. I have not been motivated my sophomore or junior year, mostly because of the pandemic. But that still stands.
That was only one of those years, right? Though, because it's only been like a little over a year now.
The United States education system sucks, and the proof of that is that like they've utterly failed to live up to the challenge of the pandemic. Because online school has been an unmitigated failure.
Yeah. No, it doesn't seem like logically like that would be a good thing to do. I don't enjoy my online lectures at all.
I'm not saying the idea of it. I'm saying like the way they executed it.
Oh, for sure.
Because like they're not paying the teachers enough. They cut the pay for teachers because it's online. That happens in a lot of places. Right. So like,
yeah, everything's fucked.
It makes people struggle even more.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, education is totally one of many things that is brutally underfunded.
But here's the thing: here's the other thesis about my life is that I believe that politics is a kind of addiction. I think like the idea of caring about politics is like fundamentally like a sacrifice you have to make. Whether you do activism, that's the height of it, is activism. If you like take it upon yourself to like take time out of your life to do this thing, there's fundamentally like a detrimental effect that you take upon yourself. And I think that has to be considered before you do that. But it just leads to my sort of pessimism about the world, and it leads to my depression instead of me feeling happy about the things I've done in my life. Because I've done activism, and now I hate it. I kind of just want to. Like,
well, don't do it then. Sounds like you need to work on you, you know. And I would say though that activism could be like existentially important because of the climate change crisis and the human rights violations happening around the world, and particularly the ones being fueled by the United States, represent a threat to our own human rights. You know, so it is like I think there is self-interest too in activism and like, you know, caring. But you want to do it in productive ways, right? And you want to enjoy your life too. That's why, like, one of my big political guys that I like, who I think he might have been quoting someone else even when he said this, but he was like, yeah, we always say like, well, I heard this from Michael Brooks. He was like, you know, all right,
I miss Michael Brooks.
Me too, so much. I'm glad that you're my first friend I've made who likes Michael Brooks.
Dude, like,
but he said like
talk about tragic deaths.
Just real quick though, he said like
that's the worst thing that fucking happened.
Real quick, what I was quoting from him is that he said, you know, you gotta. He was like, you gotta like listen to Nas, go for a run, and then read Marx. You know, like live your life, like, you know, consume art, be happy. You know, run.
Consuming art is such a joy.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Not all
when
the time,
it's good.
sometimes.
Yeah, when it's good, when you're in the mood for it, when you want it, you know. Yeah, when it's you know the type of thing that you want. But yeah, no, let's.
You said we were going to talk about art.
Yeah, no, let's talk about Michael Brooks for a little bit.
But if you had what was that?
Let's talk about Michael Brooks.
Yeah, no, I listen to his videos and like I think he's consistently like the most one of the most educational channels you can subscribe to out there. Even currently, even though Michael Brooks is not with us anymore, the channel is still producing content. And if you honestly listen to it and engage with it, you will learn more things that are useful.
Yeah, he has all sorts of great people on there. Slavoj Žižek, Cornel West, Marianne Williamson.
I haven't listened to it lately, but I just know that it's a good channel.
It is.
That's my understanding.
Well, yeah, we can endorse anything Michael Brooks related. I feel comfortable doing that.
He has like a foundation now, or his
sister is running it, I assume.
I thought it was called the Michael Brooks Foundation.
I think it is, yeah.
Established after he died.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I discovered him while I was moving up to Sac in January, doing a lot of driving between LA and Sac, and I would just watch these because I was always I fell for Jordan Peterson.
Hang on a second.
Okay, yeah.
I just need to write something down in my phone notes because I might have a game-breaking idea.
All right, I'm just gonna talk to the people.
Please do.
I was a big Jordan Peterson fan.
Really?
No
way!
No, okay. So
I would have never guessed that about you.
So let me talk to the people, all right? And you can
listen. You have to tell this whole story now because I just bared my soul to the world. Now it's your turn.
I talked about it.
How'd you get from Jordan Peterson to now?
I talked about it on the previous podcast.
I haven't listened to that.
You can listen to that. Brent currently likes Jordan Peterson, and
who's Brent?
Brent is a friend as well, another comedian in Sacramento. So I I fell out of touch to some degree with politics during the Trump era pre-COVID. I'll say I kind of got back more into politics during sort of later on in COVID. Really, I got back into politics. When I got into Michael Brooks and the Majority Report on my drives between LA and Sacramento, like I was just saying. But prior to that, during COVID, I was pretty apolitical living in LA during COVID, and I discovered I was as per usual kind of living an undisciplined, very I was in need of self-help. And I was already a fan of Joe Rogan. I liked the product that he made on his podcast, for a lot of similar reasons that anyone would. He has a lot of different types of people on, and whatever. And I discovered his Jordan Peterson podcasts, and I enjoyed him a lot. Jordan Peterson is very genial, and he's able to connect theology and history and just kind of different topics in a compelling way, and then he'll mix in some bullshit too, like a decent amount of bullshit all the time, like the postmodern cultural Marxism, all that stuff. I mean, that's literal meaningless jargon that he'll throw out there. So there was bullshit that I was like not picking up on too.
It's good that you recognize that.
But I enjoyed. He had the sort of traveler from afar effect that Ben Burgess has talked about, who's a leftist, friend of Michael Brooks.
I have his
for
book.
the friend. Me too. Yeah, I got his. And so Ben Burgess has talked about this
for Christmas.
Yeah, that's
seriously.
But yeah, Ben Burgess has talked about the traveler from afar effect. And I think that kind of worked on me.
I haven't read the book,
Jordan,
but I got it for Christmas.
You should read it. I liked it a lot. Jordan Peterson, I think, kind of had that effect on me with his accent, and the self-help stuff just hit me at a time when I needed it, and I never even really realized that he was political. I mean, there would be the occasional thing that he would say about like how hierarchies are natural, or that the nature of whatever, that's hierarchies are natural, blah blah blah, basically. And I only ever watched him on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? And a lot of
Jordan Peterson.
And a lot of the areas where he would say, and a lot of the times when he would say the craziest shit, those weren't on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? His craziest shit is in a lot of like you have to dive a little bit deeper. But anyways, on my drives between LA and Sacramento, I started watching Majority Report videos, and I started watching criticisms of Jordan Peterson, and I would watch them goof on him, and it was awesome. And I went from there, and that's how I got into Michael Brooks. And of course, his most defining work has been making fun of the intellectual dark web. And
I also have Michael Brooks's book Against the Web.
Yeah, did you? Please tell me you read that one.
I actually read it.
Okay.
No, I read it cover to cover.
Nice.
That one I did because Michael Brooks wrote it.
I read that one in a day.
Beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I also read it. I read it in like 2 days.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah. Because I confess that I read Ben Burgess's book about one chapter of it, and then it got into the logic and symbols shit, and I didn't finish it.
I skipped a lot. What I did was
I only read like the beginning of it. Like literally the first like 10 pages or whatever.
There's a lot of jargon in that book, but there is also.
And I was like, oh shit, I can't handle this.
It's mostly stuff that you can engage with, though. It definitely is mostly stuff that you can engage with. Just skip over the stuff where it's like Because
I'm not a philosophy student.
Skip over.
He's literally a philosophy professor, and I'm not a philosophy student. It turns out
a lot of that stuff is easier than it looks. But I would say just skip over the kind of logic equation stuff, and there's still a lot of good stuff in that book. That's very easy to engage with. I would say I definitely recommend it.
I must confess that I'm someone who has always disliked reading. And that's always been a vice of mine. Is the idea of finding reading unattractive.
Yeah. That's fair. That's the reality for me right now. I usually don't want to read.
Although some books really grab me though, but it's rare. It's very rare.
Mm-hmm. Against the Web, that grabbed you?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But
even that one was a little bit. I mean, he gets into the weeds.
I'm just saying that I'm so addicted to video games that I can't stand books.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm really glad in a way that I never really got much into video games. There's only one game I play, and I'm kind of glad that it's just that it's the game that it is, and that's the one I play. Super Smash Bros. Melee. It's just.
You play Melee?
The best game
Holy
ever
crap.
made. It's the only way.
So I play Ultimate a lot, and I have never played Melee competitively, but I had it when I was a child.
Dude, do you have a GameCube controller?
I do have a GameCube controller.
Okay, nice.
I've chosen Ganon in Melee, and I've attempted to learn the competitive techniques of Ganondorf, but I'm not good at all. I assume you're probably very good.
I would kick.
You probably played in tournaments.
Oh, definitely. I've gone to tournaments. Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
So I've gone to Ultimate tournaments, but I've never tried Melee. That's my thing.
Nice. Well, okay, that's that's a lot of people.
UC Davis has got tournaments.
I want to do the Melee stuff. I really only do.
They got Melee too, but they specialize in Ultimate over at Davis.
Nice.
There's a fucking. So wait, here's another thing. Davis has more of a fucking video game esports scene than a comedy scene.
That makes sense though, because video games
This is
are
the
huge.
truth.
Video game. Well, okay, that makes. That makes literal. Think about it.
I've seen prominent California esports players come to Davis for the UC Davis DLC tournament.
Video games are.
But there's no comedy event that.
Video games are
celebrities.
Yeah, video games are massive, and comedy is niche, so that makes perfect sense, right?
I mean, I'm slightly exaggerating because there is comedy in Davis. It just gets stifled, and that's my own bias is showing.
Well, if you talk about Davis comedy real quick, just
to give a nutshell, it's it's always been a small town here, and so it never gets the kind of comedy that a place like Sacramento can get. And that's always just disappointed me. So, because I love stand-up comedy, I think it's one of the few good things in this world when you think about it. But,
and I think that you're totally silly because Sacramento is 20 minutes away and you have a car.
Yes, but Davis is my home. Sacramento's not my home.
But, alright, okay, Samwise Gamgee.
I'm telling you, who,
Alright.
I'm telling you my background.
I get you, yeah.
So your background's Sacramento, my background's Davis.
My background's not Sacramento.
Sorry, your background for the last 2 years, I suppose.
Since January.
You've only been here for
That's what I was just saying. That's part of the story I just told.
Shit,
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
You've only been here 5 months, and you're already producing a stand-up show. That's impressive.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, anyone can do it. It was literally just a matter of meeting the dude that owns Vince's.
That's so true, because I've done that shit before. Because
anyone can do it. Yeah, it's not.
It's so funny when you fall into these things by accident. Would you describe it as that in your life?
Well, okay, this one was by accident because there was a touring comedian who posted. I should remember his name. He's headlining my show. TJ, whatever his name is, the dude that's headlining my show.
DJ Tyler?
No. Don't worry about it. He posted in the Sacramento area comedians together that he was coming through on May 29th.
Oh shit!
And he wanted to be on the show, so I was like, all right, I'll put one together. I was
Dude, you're gaining credibility. You're getting credibility, Dame. That's Thanks, awesome. Man.
Well, yeah.
This is the shit that I want to do, so you can teach me shit.
Well, just
because this is what I'm planning to do in like 6 months from now.
It's very simple, actually, and it's just a matter of largely of courage.
I agree, because I've been having doubt. I've been having self-doubt lately because of I don't know if I have enough courage to do this sometimes.
Well,
sometimes.
You seriously need to rethink the whole commitment to Davis thing. Like, you seriously need to rethink that.
I'll hear you out on that, but I'll make my case for Davis as well.
Go for it.
Well, do you want to go first?
No, I'm not near the mic, so you go.
Okay, I guess, I don't know, have you been I think the mic has heard you, but anyway.
No, but it would be better if you went first, and then I can just go once I'm over there.
Alright. Well, I don't know. I just wish things were better in the world, and so I wish Davis was better at having comedy, and that's kind of it. And I'm just looking for ways to do that. And one of the ways is through UC Davis's club infrastructure, with how they allow student clubs to form and raise money and build budgets and put on events. I think it's an underused aspect of society. Actually, sometimes it's been used for very sinister goals, and I think that's been underexplored because powerful political groups have used college politics clubs, such as the College Republicans of University of Southern California, to basically convert regular adolescent people into sociopathic, narcissistic politicians.
Alt-right kind of stuff.
No, I don't even mean in the modern era. I mean stuff that was building up in the 80s, 90s, and aughts. As far as these are the institutions that surround us that predate the internet. Because you have to realize about the internet, even though seems like this all-powerful force, the internet was also raised within the context of our previous institutions, and that includes school. So anyway, because the people who construct the internet are people who are descended from schools. So anyway, what was I just talking about?
Davis comedy scene, supposedly.
There we go.
Yeah.
So school clubs are weird, but they are also very powerful in the United States of America. They can raise a lot of money and put on legitimate events that propel people to stardom. And so that's what I'm trying to do with UC Davis.
Your whole thing of
by establishing a comedy club that will attract comedians from the Sacramento area to produce shows for seats up to 500 and provide some sense of entertainment and industry to an audience of 30,000 that has previously lacked it in Davis.
Yeah.
I want to serve the people of Davis.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Your commitment to your hometown is very quaint and cute and kind of like Samwise Gamgee.
Do you say that in a condescending way or
no.
in another way?
It goes both ways. It goes both ways, literally. There's a positive and a lesson to be taken from that, I think, great. Do what you can in Davis. It's great that but also let go where you have to, and explore elsewhere. It's good that you do the sack mic today, keep doing that. But you're like Samwise Gamgee, if I take one step from Lord of the Rings, that you may know the meme where he's like, if I take one step further, it'll be the furthest I've ever been from home, That's
man.
That's a meme. I don't know. But, okay, so let's go back
I understand what you mean by that, and you got me there, because sometimes I'm very scared, but I guess I don't give myself enough credit for stuff.
Oh yeah, we all gotta give ourselves more credit, definitely. We gotta no one tells you good job, capitalism makes us feel shitty and alone and stuff. But I'd be interested in talking about kind of giving my perspective on why, I don't know. I think we should be easy on our friends that like Jordan Peterson, because he's very seductive, and when you just when you just see him on Joe Rogan's Experience.
What do you mean by that?
You know?
What?
I'll quote ContraPoints. Sometimes young men just need a daddy.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen her Jordan Peterson video?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I think I was probably very high, so I don't remember it at the time.
Ah, fair enough. Her shit really is like movies. I almost said her movies. I mean, her videos.
Well, yeah,
are like movies.
Her videos, they're like over 40 minutes. That's feature length.
They're like full production.
Feature length.
I mean, yeah, she hasn't. Her J.K. Rowling one's an hour and a half long. Her fucking cancel culture one's an hour and a half long. That's actually like median movie
feature length.
Median length of movie. Yeah. She's great. Michael Brooks as well. The self-help thing that it's funny. Jordan Peterson, this is a lot of what Michael Brooks talks about, right? How Jordan Peterson identifies a lot of the right problems and he offers solutions that the left doesn't offer a lot of the time.
What kind of things are those?
Like clean your room. Like a lot of leftists could probably afford to fucking clean their. Like a lot of people at DSA meetings probably need to clean their room. Frankly, they probably could afford to like take a shower. You know, the right should not have a monopoly on self-help.
I feel like those are stereotypes based on the most extreme cases.
And I am literally. I've
been poisoned. I literally just spent like half an hour admitting how many times I've been poisoned by my media that I listen to, and I wonder if.
Well, and I was.
Do you think that you've been poisoned by yours?
I was literally just quoting Ben Burgess. I think Ben Burgess has said.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm experiencing the symptoms of it. Yeah, no. But I do think that I will quote from Ben Burgess about that because I think he's accurate. The right shouldn't have a monopoly on.
No, that's something I've agreed on too. Because I get frustrated how the right wing seems to always win the quote unquote culture war. I hate the word culture war so much, but it seems to be an accurate term for what seems to happen in America. And the right wing always seems to have more power whenever they engage in that kind of fighting. Whereas
and they feel like we have more power. It's so funny because I just have...
Yeah, no, that's how that's what's so baffling about it is that they win by claiming they're losing. They win by claiming they're losing.
Are they winning though?
What does that mean? Yes, because they just got fucking Donald Trump for 4 years. That's a victory for the right.
Okay, for sure.
That's an undeniable. Trump nominated 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices and fucked up the EPA so that climate change is going to definitely kill us.
Trump was horrible on every measure.
I'm not going to talk about Trump to the extent of what he's done.
He was horrible at everything.
But the point is that Donald Trump was an undeniable victory for the right and a devastating one at that. And that provides much doom for the world and my perspective on it.
Right.
If you must...
Well, okay.
Because that happened when I was 16 years old. Donald Trump.
I get you.
You know.
So let's get out of the doom then and focus on.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay, the culture.
That's my statement on doom, and we'll leave it at that.
So the culture war.
There we go.
Ben Burgess, his new book that's coming out is canceling. He just came out canceling comedians while the world burns.
Yeah,
so he's trying to play into it.
I've seen him promoted on Twitter all the time, but I haven't. Yeah. I haven't planned to buy it yet.
What do you think? What do you think of that title? How does that title ring to you?
I mean, the title did ring me. I'll say it rung me as oh, you chose that title. It seems hack. That's what I'm saying. I think that's a hack title. And as a comedian, I'm not saying Ben Burgess is a comedian, but from the standpoint of a comedian who writes words in a certain order, I think that's a hack title as far as he's a producer of content and for the medium of politics and what's appropriate.
He's trying to get people to buy his book.
I think it's a hype.
He's trying to get people to buy his book. It's provocative. It presents
literally that's something even Milo Yiannopoulos could conceivably write.
Right, exactly. It's a critique of the left. So he's trying to write to a non-left wing audience. He's trying to communicate to people on the right, and the title is absolutely written to try to sell books. It's written to try to be provocative and sell books, and that's just how it is, man.
Maybe that's a good strategy.
Look at YouTube.
Managing to attract maybe right.
You talk about Kyle Kalinske. Look at the titles of his YouTube videos, man. That doesn't mean he doesn't do good work. It's just we all have to play into this fucking game of trying to sell shit.
I guess that's true. I have certain tastes. And I kind of wish that more people.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
More people had better taste. Because these people have their big platforms, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like, views are kind of king, more so than message. Even.
Money is corrupting. It's like the One Ring. Sorry to mention Lord of the Rings again, but the One Ring makes people. It corrupts people.
I wouldn't. I'm not this. I wouldn't even say that like these YouTubers that I love to listen to are corrupt. I'm just saying that like sometimes I wish. Sometimes I wish they had better titles for their books, and that's the most trivial of complaints because I love everything else about them, or most of the things. So anyway, like I'm really happy that I met someone like you who like also has a kind of parasocial relationship with YouTubers because that's a.
I'm getting out of that lately.
I'm trying to get out of it. It's hard though sometimes because like the content's entertaining, you know,
it is.
And you feel weird about how it's affecting your brain and how much of your personality it's created with inside of you because that is an honest phenomenon, and I think it's a concerning phenomenon among people our age.
Well, I got burnt out on it, and I think that was like my body's emergency response or something. So hopefully you get burnt out.
I've definitely had moments where I got like totally burnt out in the last year.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in the process of recovering from it right now.
There's actually a really great answer to that in reading because a lot of my mornings lately I've been really like, what the fuck do I want to do? And if I felt better, I would just read. And then that occupies your brain and fills time, you know, and it feels good. It feels good to read. And it doesn't feel good to watch YouTube videos.
Okay, how do you choose the right books? Because I've chosen a lot of books that I thought I would like, such as Ben Burgess's book, and then I like, the second I encounter something I don't like, I kind of stop. So like, how do you find stuff that you like to read?
Well, you need more commitment, I'll say that one.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know. Books are sometimes just like, not something I want to like. I have to sit still for it. Mm-hmm. You have to keep your body like totally still.
You can squirm around a lot though, and you can like fidget. I found a lot of fun ways to, because like I have attention deficit stuff too, and like you know, I find ways.
I've never been diagnosed with attention deficit, but I don't know.
I shouldn't be the self-diagnosis, but you know what? I can be aware of myself that like attention deficit is not. I didn't say that I have ADHD or ADD, right? I just said that
I've never heard
attention.
That from you.
I just have attention. I just said that I have attention deficit. That doesn't mean necessarily, you know, that I think I can notice that about myself, that I have attention deficit. Like I get the don't self-diagnose.
I don't know what problems I have, but at the very least, I sometimes get addicted to things.
Me too. I feel that very much. I sometimes get addicted to things. There's a lot of habit-forming things out there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's such a shameful thing because you know what's something that really pissed me off recently is that the Joe Biden White House has fired staffers that have admitted to smoking weed. Weed, and they lose their jobs. Yeah. What is this? That's the White House. This is like, what is this? Fucking Turkey? No, this is America. What? Like, this is obnoxious. Anyway,
it was bad. But I mean, anyone working in a Biden White House, I assume, is gonna suck anyways. So fuck them.
That's true because it's.
There's bigger issues. I would say.
I don't care to talk about Biden for like a lot of time, but like I don't like him.
Wait, let's go more into because I don't think there's much of a conversation.
I don't like his policies. I mean to say, I hear he's a very nice man. I hear he's actually like just an extremely kind man, but he's. Whatever, I don't agree with his politics.
Well, I would say I don't give two shits about Biden. I only care how much Bernie Sanders and Ilhan Omar and AOC are influencing him. You know,
I think it's minimal. I think it's very minimal.
I think there's been some significant Bernie Sanders.
If it was significant, he would have canceled student loan debt by now. Because you know why?
He's canceled some student loan debt.
No, he said he would like look into it. Seriously, no, I don't think student loan debt.
He didn't cancel any yet.
If any student loan debt was canceled,
it was a small amount.
No.
Partially.
He said he would like promise he would do it or look into it because this is my assessment after having observed the news unfold about it is that unless I'm wrong about this, and I could be because I haven't follow the news like.
I have heard
lately.
he's canceled some student loan debt.
Yes, but like it seems to be a fraction, and it seems to be we are past the 100-day mark of the Biden administration, and historically, I'm a student of political science and history as a minor, and historically, in the classes I've had that have taught me whatever presidents have done shit, the first 100 days is when the most policy gets passed. So Biden has already passed that mark, and he's only canceled $10,000 of some student loan debt for people. Most people have $50,000 or whatever.
Is that a figure? Yeah. So I don't
have hope for the rest of his 4 years.
Well, there was the American Rescue Act. There have been a couple.
Because in about a year and a half from now, there's going to be the midterm elections.
There have been a few. There were a few significant things that happened in terms of domestic foreign policy. Things are getting pushed further to the left. I think a lot of the times,
get out of Afghanistan.
The foreign policy has been a very mixed bag.
Some people are going to stay in Afghanistan, according to what Biden has said, and then that doesn't. He also is not going to withdraw out of anywhere else we're in. So
yeah,
it's really not. You realize that the Afghanistan announcement is about maybe 1/10 or 1/7,
so
or
it's something
1/50th of the American empire, and the media is super focusing on that, trying to convince people of one thing when another entire thing is true. And I feel like this is not recognized enough, and it contributes to my disgust.
Wait, what are you specifically saying? What are you specifically saying about Afghanistan?
I'm saying I hate the media.
But what's specific this Afghanistan thing?
I'm saying that it's good that Biden is announcing that he's withdrawing from it, but I'm saying it's not enough.
You said it's 1/50th of the American empire?
Yes.
What does that elaborate?
Probably. I'm just saying, in terms of dollars, in terms of personnel, in terms of manpower, the United States has an unfathomable level of cruelty and dollars and violence and guns and boots on the ground in so many countries.
Definitely.
So Afghanistan is a significant thing, and but there's the entire rest of the Middle East. There's there's China and the Southeast Asian area. There's Africa. The United States has stuff that we know about, and there's stuff we don't know about, and you have to consider how
the U.S. is doing all sorts of horrible shit. Yeah.
Which means that the fact that we are only talking about Afghanistan and not any other country means that we have to give that pause and think how much of this is actually just an illusion until something catastrophic happens where we reach the point of no return, because we've already had this pandemic, and we already know that worse shit's going to come. So
well, okay, we were talking about Afghanistan specifically because Biden said that we're going to pull out. That's why we were talking about Afghanistan. But foreign policy is undemocratized. That's the problem. Bernie Sanders was the only candidate who had a pass from me in terms of foreign policy in 2020. Every other candidate was bad.
Me.
Yeah. Because you need shitty foreign policy to get the donations that you need to fill the airwaves, to propagandize people, to convince them to vote for you, and the solution to that actually is caring more, and the solution to that is pushing towards an environment in all areas of your life where you're not propagandizing people, but rather encouraging more engagement and thought and more, but I don't know how to get people to read the news or to watch the news.
I plead guilty to the fact that my attention span is low for reading both books and news articles. I read news articles online more often than I read books, but I still oftentimes cannot finish them. And I plead guilty to that.
Well, here, let me drop a recommendation.
I have to say that, on some level, I feel like I wish I could function better in terms of, shit like that.
Consuming news?
Just, learning.
Yeah. Well, here, let me drop a recommendation on you. Jacobin. Just check Jacobin every day. The Bhaskar Sunkara's magazine. So biggest socialist publication in the world.
I'm still talking about it. I sometimes can't finish them, but
Oh yeah, no, totally. But even if you just read the beginning of a piece, that's still better than nothing, right?
Sure.
You can bookmark it to taskbar or whatever. But
did you grow up reading a lot?
I did in my childhood, and then I slowed down a lot in my adolescence, and then
I didn't read a lot in my childhood because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just I didn't care about Harry Potter. I didn't care about anything.
So I watch YouTube videos.
I play video games and watch YouTube videos, and sometimes I wonder shit, how.
It's not too late.
How wired am I?
You read Against the Web. There you go. That's.
Yeah, I read it, but sometimes you never know what biases you have and how strong they are, and it just.
Well, that's what critical thinking is for, right? Is to try to, but along with critical thinking does need to be the awareness of the limitation of any individual's scope of wisdom or knowledge. Most of us are going to be wrong about most things. I tend to agree with that.
I've struggled with that because for the majority of my life, I've always wanted to be right.
Me too.
About things.
Same here, big time.
And I think that I'm only at the beginning of acknowledging that oh shit, I need to change a lot of things about myself if I want to live a better life.
Yeah. I feel that big time.
Cause we're both 21.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we are 21, and that is very early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're young.
Fuck, man.
Definitely. Yeah, this fucked up this early. Oh. Alright. But yeah, we should get people to be more engaged and just, I don't know, take it bit by bit. But, internet shows like what you watch and what I watch as well are better than nothing,
Yeah, because even though the internet has done sinister things to all of us on some level, some of the best art ever created has come from the internet.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's, we said we would talk about art, so
yeah.
Shit, man.
We already have been talking about art.
I think we've been talking more about politics than art.
Well,
so,
there's
maybe we can actually get
political art. There's
political art is one kind of art.
Like Michael Brooks.
We haven't talked about art.
ContraPoints.
What do you think
Both
about
of those?
What do you think about art? What is your
It's
statement?
great. It's
what
great.
Is your statement on art, please?
Literally my favorite pastime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. If I can.
What is your art?
What are my various?
What is your art, Dane?
What are my various art forms? When I started watching movies at a very young age. I started gaining an appreciation for movies at a young age, and for music. A lot of movies and a lot of music. And I would read Calvin and Hobbes. I would read different books. A lot of books. I started playing music, also at a very young age. During childhood, I played music through all of adolescence. I did acting. I've written quite a bit. I did film school, like I say. This podcast, comedy. It's all been. It's
so great.
Art casts such a wide net, that's most of what I've ever really engaged myself in. So, yeah, I don't know. How about you? Is that a fair enough answer? Is that good enough?
Absolutely, sure. Sounds like you covered everything. I think I have to confess to you that I'm less of a capital A artist. I don't produce much things, but I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas, and sometimes I write them down. The majority of them I don't act on, but some of them I do.
You need more confidence.
Because I'm not saying because I have very little self-doubt, and I have very high self-confidence, and that may or may not be contrary to what your impression is of me, because you've only known me for a month,
mm-hmm.
and you've only known me.
You're barely.
You've only known me on a deeper level for a few hours.
Yeah.
So seriously. So
yeah. You have high confidence.
Yes, that's
low motivation.
Because I have high confidence and low motivation.
Yeah.
I do, because I've learned enough in school where it's okay, I can understand how like a lot of things work. So like I feel like if I could do, what should I do? Should I do science? I could do science, but I don't like it. I find myself just saying, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. None of it's fun. Everything is such hard work. I don't like work.
Yeah.
I have high confidence that I can do things, but I start to think about why should I do these things? And so art to me is like the exception, because like, so I end up appreciating it more than I produce it, because producing art is work, and work is like a negative thing to me, but art is a positive thing. So like, it's only on rare occasions that something speaks out to me that inspires me to work towards producing art. And so what that has been lately has been like a screenplay that I've written 1/3 of. I have like an outline for something that should be about 120 or 140 pages, but I've written 45 pages. And then I've also written a TV pilot that's about 20 something pages. The TV pilot evolved into the movie because I decided that an hour and a half of footage or whatever was better than 10
Can you
episodes.
give me the log line for the movie?
Oh boy. It's like, lonely college freshman joins stand-up comedy club, like, has, like, what is it, like, has friends, romance, and rivalry or something.
Yeah.
That was like, it's like the basic.
Sounds like a classic.
That's kind of the basic, like, first draft of it. That was the pilot, and it's supposed to be like comedy, drama, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be, here's my motherfucking art, okay, that I attempted and I'm not gonna do again.
Well, it's always supposed to be.
Well, as of now, I'm off of it, and maybe I'll come back to it. You can call it a hiatus, whatever. But once upon a time, my art that I was intent on producing was making a new, quote-unquote, young adult, or what I like to call new adult, like, piece of art. Because think about it. Like, let me ask you a question. Question time.
Yeah.
Coming of age.
Yeah.
Name works of art. What do you think of?
Boyhood.
Okay, yes.
One of my favorite movies of all time, by my favorite director.
I'm literally just saying, like, I'm not even saying, like, what do you think? I'm just identifying. Rattle off the names. What are the movies what comes into the category of coming of age? Just say the what. Just say, like, 50 movies, please. Your understanding. That's just what I'm starting with.
Boyhood.
Yes.
That's the first. Almost Famous.
Yeah.
What else is coming of age?
Yeah.
School of Rock has coming of age elements to it. I don't know. Yeah, stuff like that. I'm gonna struggle to probably think of any more.
Well, I can rattle off 40 right now.
Yeah, coming of age stuff is cool. I like that. I like
but think about like TV
stuff.
shows, movies like iCarly. Like think of our generation. Like not maybe I watched it. Maybe even shit we don't watch. Like iCarly.
Have you seen Boyhood?
Zoe 101. Boyhood.
Have you seen Boyhood?
Drake and Josh. I have not seen Boyhood.
Oh no, dude. We should watch Boyhood
Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club, or like I'm just talking movies in general.
Oh, I can't wait to show you.
I'm rattling off shit like
I can't
Breakfast
wait
Club,
to show you Boyhood.
Fucking Degrassi, or like
dude, yeah.
Like all this shit. What do they all have in common? They take place in high school. Euphoria came out last year. I'm just like saying that like all the shit they produce happens in high school. Where's the college shit? And so what I'm trying to say is that coming of age is dominated by high school stories, and that's bullshit. Because these are like minors, which is creepy to cast older actors for, and also like it's disproportionate because people don't come of age in high school. Because all these high school stories about people like losing their virginity and shit, but not everyone loses their virginity in high school. Where's the other half of people who like, have other kinds of lives? There's not that many college shows in comparison to high school shows, and I think that's weird and creepy. So mine is about college, and it's like exploring the institution. From a perspective of a political science major, because that's my perspective that I can at least tell to the best of my ability.
Probably a largely sociological perspective.
I'm trying to like explore like the feelings I have of like, having trouble making friends in the context of like school, except it's college and not fucking high school. Because I've had enough of high school shows. Enough.
I love this. What you're saying resonates with me so much. You're trying to make the art that you want to see in the world. You're trying to make the beauty that you need in the world.
The college shows do exist. I'm just saying, why aren't there more of these, and why aren't there ones that are like 10 out of 10
This is
shows?
exactly why you need to finish writing that screenplay, because the best art is the shit where the artist was like, this is something that needs to be in the world.
Yes,
there's not
that's
enough of this.
my statement.
There's one of my favorite podcasts ever was Bo Burnham on H3, and Bo Burnham was talking all about how he went to see The Martian and like blew his casket because it wasn't about anxiety, and he was like, I need to make a movie about anxiety, and that's what made it great.
Because it's like, shit, I'm on another planet. Why aren't I?
Well, he was just mad that it wasn't about. He was mad that it wasn't about his own personal experience. All I'm saying is that he was mad that it wasn't about his own personal experience, and that's what drove him to make 8th Grade, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. What do you think of it? Yeah, one of the greatest movies of all time. I love it.
And see, okay, 8th Grade's an exception because it's not about high school; it's about 8th grade. I think there's something to be said for.
I could show you some good college stuff. I guarantee you, there's a bunch of there. I mean, come on, there's a ton of college. In the '90s, there was a whole genre of like college ski movies.
Like what? Ski movies?
No. I'm not bullshitting you right now. In the '90s, there was a whole genre of literally college age, like stoner, degenerate, drunk ski movies, and they were exactly what you're talking about, man.
I argue those were sports movies.
But there was a whole interpersonal side to it too. It was relationships and friendships, and it was very slice of life, and it was very.
Which ones are you talking about?
I need to show you. I actually can't name any of them because I'm not a fan of the genre. But I need to show you. Are you a Richard Linklater fan? Do you know that director?
I know he's a good director, but I have not seen one of his shit.
Movies. One of his is.
I know Boyhood's great.
So
I haven't seen it.
We danced to a song earlier. Take Your Time, Do It Right by the SOS Band. That's in his movie Everybody Wants Some, which is about college baseball players in the 80s, and it's one of my favorite movies ever. It's kind of just a stupid, fun movie, but there are some some really deep, meaningful parts to it, and I really want to show you the movie. It's not too long, it's nice and short, and it's very, very fun, and I think we should watch that after this podcast. If you're hungry for a college movie.
I'm open to watching new films. That's another thing, is that I admitted that I hate reading or whatever, and I will say that I wish that was different. Because in addition to wanting better things for Davis in my hometown, I also wish better things for myself, but I kind of struggle to do anything about it, and I kind of just complain about it most of the time.
Same.
But in addition to wishing that I wish that I read more. I recognize that it would be better if I did more reading, but I just don't.
Look through my books. You just see if there's anything that appeals to you. No pressure.
Sure. But the same goes for film. Because I've seen films that I like, but I kind of wish I watched more classic shit. I've never seen Indiana Jones. I have never seen Harry Potter 3 through 7. I've never seen Lord of the Rings, anything. I've never seen Back to the Future.
I'm thinking of starting.
I've never seen
You haven't seen a lot of the big ones, the classics.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
But I've seen some stuff, and so I wish I had a better understanding. Is the point?
Well, I'm hoping to start.
And yet I've written a screenplay or half of it.
Good. Yeah, that's a start. Absolutely. And I'm thinking about starting
So how about
that? I'm thinking about starting a movie watching I'm thinking about starting a thing where I get comedians together here to watch a movie every so often. Brent and I watched The Lord of the Rings the other day, and that was awesome.
That sounds like a killer time.
We watched Lord of the Rings.
Especially after the pandemic's over and we don't have to worry about gathering again.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Dude.
Get a pizza. Yeah.
That's a fucking party. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let me hear more about what type of stuff, because that was really I was really vibing with a lot of what you were saying about the wanting you like slice of life stuff, right?
I like slice of life stuff, but I've entered a point in my life where there is less and less content that's slice of life.
Dude, you are going to love Richard Linklater. All of his staple works are slice of life. He's worked in other genres, but his staple is slice of life.
Because I think there's a distinctive lack of content with protagonists. Let's just say. Let's focus on protagonists, because that's obviously the center of most films, especially narrative films and slice of life. Is I think there's a distinctive lack of protagonists between the ages of 18 and 22. Let's just say, And I think most shit. Let's take like Friends, the sitcom. You know, one of the most fucking like biggest
sitcom ever.
Biggest like productions of you know content or arts produced. Yeah. And it's about like people in their late 20s. That's like 25, 26. And that's like the 90s. And that's the fucking big pillar of TV. Uh-huh. And so I think that influences the rest of it. And I think there's a gap. I think there's like a whatever, reverse bell curve or whatever of like late 20s and like, or just straight up like early 30s, just like adults with dramas or like it's late 20s or they're always like in grad school or whatever, but never undergrad. I think there's more shit about grad students than undergrad if you had to look at it.
We gotta find you some more undergrad stuff.
Unless I'm just like, I think that's my limited perception of it.
There's more stuff out there.
Because if it's not, I know there's stuff out there, but I'm talking about what's relevant. I'm talking about what succeeds.
Well, don't worry about what's relevant.
What succeeds, and because I've Googled it, and they say that like high school is more relatable because everyone goes to high school, but not everyone goes to a 4-year university or whatever.
That makes sense.
So in terms of just straight up marketing and the money that's there, they do high school shit. But I'm sick of it, is the point. And we're entering an era where limits are being broken and more shit can be produced. So yeah, if I put my mind to it, I could become, you know, someone who directed a movie about, you know, like something that I felt strongly about, like you described Bo Burnham doing. But I don't think I will ultimately, because that's like a commitment, and I'm, you know, I'm trying to figure out what I want to commit to.
Right, as much as we complain.
I'm not saying I won't commit to anything ever. I'm saying I'm struggling to figure out what I want to commit to.
As much as we complain about the system, ultimately there is an element of personal responsibility where you have to figure out what you want to do.
That's true.
And you have to go out and find your college age art. Exactly, the playing field is open. If you go on YouTube and search for stuff about college, I'm sure you'll find it. If you just like search online, if you really search hard, it's just work. There's work involved. So there's where the personal responsibility comes in. Unfortunately, I hate that shit too. I'm a leftist. I like to sit around and criticize the system, but this is where I go back to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson does have good answer, or he identifies a problem, which is this malaise amongst young men, this like lack of discipline, you know, and so what I'm saying is clean your room, you cultural Marxist.
Oh my God. You know that term means nothing.
I know, yeah. Postmodern cultural Marxism, you know. The thing that exists, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like, it's just so refreshing that like I've had those words spouted into my ears countless times from my computer speakers, and yet this is probably the first time I've ever like conversed with a human about it. Uh-huh. It's weird to see it like manifest, because ultimately like I've been, you know, describing because the world ultimately frightens me because of how it constructs me, and like that's something that I acknowledge, and
the world is frightening,
and that I think more people should acknowledge.
Oh, the world is terrifying, totally, but we need to develop a cognitive dissonance, a fortitude within ourselves to be able to pursue and live happy lives, assuming that there will be a future, because, you know what, I hate to say it, I totally get the thoughts that the U.S. is going to end soon and that the planet is on fire, but listen, people have been saying that the end is near for a long time. We might as well prepare for a future.
Speaking of the end, like, okay, here's something that I've thought to myself, like, a lot. And I mean a lot, like, let's say, like, 1 or 2 days a week at minimum. Like, it's a day where, like, I have my 20-minute brainstorming session about this scenario. Like, are you familiar with solipsism?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of it?
There's no way to ever concretely disprove it. So when something enters that realm of like, there's no way to concretely prove or disprove something, I go to what is the most useful option in terms of making myself fulfilled and happy. And for me, that's a belief that other people do, in fact, exist. It's a useful belief to have. And I don't think I'm telling myself a lie either, because there's no way to prove solipsism either.
There's not. And like, because, it's something that I think about a lot, because I think it's also something that is a lot more enticing than people give it credit for. Because solipsism is very readily dismissed as soon as you look into it by like most major and like respected philosophers. as like something that's like, well, anyway. So what it means is like thinking that you're the only mind in the universe, or that potentially that like everything's a simulation, that you're the only actual thing that like feels and has like the thoughts, and that, or kind of like that your life is just one big movie and you're the protagonist. Like the reality is just like your eyes is the camera.
My life is like, a movie.
Yeah, like, and so when you think about the end and when you think about death, you think that like the most significant part comes towards the end of it sometimes, or like it's like, how am I gonna die? How am I gonna go out? What's my legacy? People talk about the fucking legacy, which is like so weird. It's a weird thing that humans do. And here's my point: is that like, I'm not saying that I believe in solipsism, because ultimately you can't prove it in the same way that you can't prove God. Because saying that like, oh, I'm the only thing that exists.
Oh, she could call more of that. I liked it though. She was saying, for those who don't know, aka everyone listening, some people just walked by outside, and the lady said, "What? I don't like where this conversation is going." Is that what she said? Don't let it interrupt you though. Carry on.
Is the window closed?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I closed all the windows before we started recording. Yeah. Sorry, did that
was she like? Was she definitely responding to us, or what?
No, not at. She definitely wasn't responding to us. She was walking by, and she's gone now.
I assumed it was like someone who heard what we were saying and was complaining about it.
Oh, I don't know why anyone would say that they don't like where our conversation is going. It's not like we were planning to build a bomb.
Have you ever like bothered your neighbors with the noise?
No, but what she was saying didn't sound like she was upset about the noise.
I thought that she was mad at us. Anyway.
Yeah, no, she's not. Don't worry.
So I think that humans seems to be designed to be primed towards solipsism. I want to repeat that.
What? Okay, why is that?
Because think about it, human consciousness is like one at a time, whereas there are some like organisms that seem to have a group consciousness. Are you familiar with like the world's largest tree organism? The thing that's like expansive and has like fucking roots and
I'm familiar with fungi, and I think that connects with the way fungi operate.
So that's that's a way that life operates that's different from how humans do, and humans we operate in individual units, and it's so like it leads to these weird consequences because it leads to like us like working against each other. And so I think that like even though people dismiss solipsism, ultimately like all humans are, because we only know our own perspectives. That's what we live and breathe. And so you have to consider, what do we do about it? Because you can't, I'm not saying like, oh, it's what I have to believe, therefore I can just kill everyone because they're all fake. That's not what it is.
They're fake, dude.
No, like, I mean, some psychos maybe have acted on that before in world history, but it's very few, because it's not something that humans act on, but it's an enticing thing that frightens us. And so how do we deal with it? No one knows.
Well, okay, I've got an answer for you. So, the fungi and trees and stuff, like in the rainforest, they communicate with each other in these really cool ways, and they're super fucking interconnected, right? And it's awesome. That shit is super cool. Nature is awesome. They also can't make art. That's unique to us. Humans, I'll say another thing about humans, which is that what's going on in each of our individual brains as humans is more complex than what any of us could possibly put into words. So when we talk, there is this scary, sad thing about the fact that when we talk and express ourselves and put ourselves out into the world, we're always making a choice about what to put out there, and other people are going to have perceptions and judgments of us based on those choices, and we're never really going to experience someone's true nature except for maybe in some sort of divine way, like ideally in a life union, you know, and if, you know, I'd like to believe in love, and like with like a true lifetime partner, maybe you can start to understand their true nature on a spiritual level, or like the spirit kind of has to come into play if you're trying to understand people.
I have actually wondered lately whether love is a social construct. I mean that, like, is love like unique to humans? Because or do other animals like actually develop like, I don't know, kind of bonds that like extend past like mating? I wonder.
Yeah, and how do I know that? How do we know that what I think of as love, when I hear the word love and I think of that, whatever it is, the feeling or whatever, there's no way to know that that's the same or even similar as what you think of as love, you know? For some, if you think of love as just that thing that people say to each other, then for you, definitely it's a social construct. But if it's something that you feel that connects to a feeling or something intrinsic, then it's deeper than that. But that deeper thing, there's no way of knowing that it's the same thing from person to person, you know? This love is like a personal thing, like a personal truth, almost like religion, you know? It connects to religion.
That's probably very true. Oh God, it's especially true because like most people's idea of love is connected to the idea of marriage, and the idea of marriage for a lot of people is connected to religion.
It's connected to capitalism too, like the financial fusion is weird.
Oh God. Yeah. I want to if I had to do something other than comedy, maybe I would try to revolutionize the wedding industry by putting out cheap wedding products that are affordable and are cool.
Hell yeah.
It's weddings should be accessible, man. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs love.
Yeah, well, you can make it
because I love producing events. If I can't produce comedy shows, maybe I could
cheap weddings.
Produce because my cousin got married and the wedding reception was in a food truck park in San Francisco, this big ass parking lot basically, and that's awesome. just 12 or so of these wonderful trucks.
Hippies.
And there was a bar truck. There was a bar on wheels.
That's great.
And I was 19 and they served me.
Fuck yeah.
Because they didn't know any better.
Nice. I've been served at a bar at 19.
Because
dumb luck.
Yeah. You know why? Is because they at the very end of the night, it was 11 p.m. and things were winding down, and I went to the bar and asked them excuse me, how old do you think I am? And they said, oh, I actually forget what they said, but I revealed that I was 19. They were surprised, and they were oh fuck, we were notified that one person was here that was underage.
And it was you.
Yeah, and we just kind of laughed about it, but nothing happened.
Yeah, that's good that fucking nothing happened, unlike, earlier tonight.
Yeah.
We don't go into that though, because the listeners don't know.
No.
Yeah, alright. So let's do religion a little bit then. Tell me about where are you at with religion now? How do you feel about it?
So I don't believe in it myself in the way I don't worship any god or practice any religious rituals, but for a long time in my life I had deep contempt for religion, and to an extent I still do. I have a great degree of contempt for most institutions, and especially religion, because of simply how much bloodshed and cruelty over silly ideas that are ultimately silly, such as homophobia, for instance. Mm-hmm. Homophobia is ultimately absurd because
all hatred and prejudice is absurd.
Yeah, and absurdity is everywhere, but absurdity that results in pain mm-hmm. is tragic.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've hated religion for most of my life, but now I've come to understand more of the positions. It's what Marx actually said, that religion is the opiate of the masses, mm-hmm. and there's two ways to interpret that. And the way most people interpret that statement is oh, religion is the opiate of the masses means it's such a negative thing, it kills people, and fuck people who do it. It's that's don't do that to yourself. But then you realize that especially if you're someone who does drugs, the second way to interpret it is oh fuck, religion is kind of it's just the thing people fall back on, and nobody can be blamed for it. It's a vice basically, yeah. Because it provides a very special and deep kind of joy, oftentimes through the art that religion produces, because religion has produced beautiful and compelling art at times, and that moves people.
Religion is art. Religious texts, that's art.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of religious practices were actually done through psychedelic consumption mm-hmm. in a lot of cultures beyond, Christianity even.
Oh yeah, especially beyond Christianity.
So like, because I mean, we both grew up in America, and it's dominated by Christianity, you know. But like, there's a million other religions out there, and when you know, because like, I grew up in Christianity, and so that was the first thing that exposed itself to me, and I thought like, okay, all religion's bad. But then you find some other religions that, you know, actually produce some of the most wonderful ideas.
Yeah,
such as Buddhism.
Yep, Buddhism there have been, you know, we shouldn't romanticize Buddhism. There are and have been very conservative, even reactionary, terrorist factions of Buddhism, but also Buddhism has more commonly, I think, from what I can tell, than other religions, been relatively progressive compared to the cultures that it's existed in. A lot of the times, Buddhist temples there have been a lot of Buddhist communities and Buddhist traditions that have been fostered more progressive environments than you know, the masses. And there's Christian churches like that nowadays too. You know, like Universalist churches tend to be pretty good.
I don't know anything about Universalist churches.
But I think that our journey as a society with religion is not going to end with everyone becoming secular. I think even right now, like, might be I think we're in a dip right now where there's a lot of leaving religion, becoming secular, and it's good because people are realizing the bullshit that's been fed to them through this particularly...
that's a very distinct trend that we've seen in the last few decades, and you don't think that will continue? I personally think it'll continue.
So I think people are leaving this distinctly toxic, horrible form of Christianity that we have in the United States, this like puritanical, Calvinist, bullshit, awful Christianity, but I think that religion... like you're saying with Mark, religion fulfills something in humans, and I think people like community. I think people like to learn about spiritual stuff, and people like to have their spirit engaged. And I think there's a lot of different ways that can happen. I think it's notable that churches have, I don't know if any Buddhist temples do. I assume some Buddhist temples have to do music, but the fact that churches will have like a church band, that's cool, because like music engages the spirit too. Music is also spiritual, and I think people have a hunger for the type of community that religion provides. A lot of people have a hunger for something spiritual in their lives, and for just a lot of people want something, you know. And I think that that maybe there will be a rise in popularity of other more progressive churches and temples and organizations and stuff. As people leave
interesting idea. I don't.
It's a hope.
I don't really see it happening, because like I feel like if that was true, we would be seeing like millennials right now. Millennials are like between like the age of like 30 and like, or more like late 20s and like 40s now. There are millennial grandparents now. They exist. They're out there, so like. Time is, you know, slowly going forward, and you and I are getting older, and millennials are getting older. And so here's my point: is that like, if what you're saying is true, I feel like there'd be like millennials who have started like some major religious movement by now, and that I don't think that's happened yet. I'm not saying it's impossible, because you could be right, but I would say my personal guess is like, I think that millennials and Gen Z are very characterized by their acceptance of LGBT culture and LGBT rights, more broadly. Like, that is a distinct like split between the past generations. Is like unprecedented acceptance in the United States of
generally we're always getting more tolerant. Each younger generation is more tolerant than the last.
There's recognition that one of the chief, you know, roadblocks to you know, LGBT rights has been religion. That's been like a major setback to a significant portion of our population who just wants to experience love the way they want to. And so like but it can be, I think that's like, not to mention the fucking Catholic Church, you know, like debacle and systematic raping of children. Like I think religion has been so thoroughly discredited that like I think it will have to be a significant amount of time. Maybe like 60 or 100 or 150 years in the future, when some catastrophic thing happens so much that like there's a mix of, you know, events such that a new religion can spring forth and by kind of freak accident. But on the current trend, religion has discredited itself, and the internet has solidified and immortalized that discreditation such that our generations and that you and I are in, and the children that you and I may or may not produce, are going to know that religion is something that ought to be left behind.
Well, first off, 60% of people in the United States are still Christian, so it's still very much alive and well. I don't think that that religion has been discredited as much yet as you do. And
I think it's planted the seeds.
So I think we're in. Here's my frame of like how I think things are happening and what I think is happening. We're experiencing a decline in religiousness and spiritualness, right? Both of us understand that. We're getting more secular as a society, but still, I think you are maybe experiencing, you know, being kind of like especially insular within a certain internet community that has totally discredited religion, because like I say, 60% of people in the U.S. are still some kind of Christian. There's a lot of other religions, and there's other religions that people are a part of, and you were saying that you were talking about a new religion happening like many years from now. I don't think that what I'm talking about isn't a new religion that people would join. I'm talking about like, I don't know. I don't think religion is so soiled for so many people that they wouldn't join, that they wouldn't convert to more of like a universalist church if they're Christians, or like Buddhism or Hinduism and some more progressive chill sanction of this. So I'll bring up a lot of there's activists on the ground in the Middle East who try to convert people from the sect of Islam that tends to result in extremism. There's people on the ground that are doing activism, converting people in that sect to other forms of Islam, and I like that. I like people joining. I like people having a more progressive relationship with religion and being in more progressive churches and having more options, you know, and I think that the country is getting more left. I think that the future of the U.S. is left, and I think that, like you say, we're getting more and more tolerant over time, right? Each new generation is more tolerant than the last, and I think that if people redevelop an appetite for religion, which we'll see, right? But I think that people will, because religion has always been around with humanity, you know? I think that humans just kind of have a natural appetite for religion, and that's totally subjective. There's no real.
I mean, there could be a lot of evidence for that. I don't know. I just sometimes think a lot about how, like, man, monkeys don't have religion. Why can't we be like that?
Monkeys also can't communicate complexly as we can, you know?
But I just wish there was, like, universal recognition that, like, all humans are the same, period. Like,
I don't think we're the same. I think we have differences. I think that we're the same in value. I think that we have the same fundamental value.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, we all, you know, any like statement that like, oh, you know, we can't, like, we are enemies with this group of people. You have to fundamentally ask why, and it never results in a reasonable answer.
Oh yeah, we gotta try to love everyone. I mean, if it seems like someone is threatening your physical safety, then that's tough to love. But like beyond that, if someone's willing to talk to them. Fucking, that's why I want to have right-wing people on this show too. But we did an hour and a half, man. That's it. I want to show you. I want to see if I can pique your interest in some coming-of-age stuff, man. Even if we don't watch something tonight, let me show you something.
So it's over?
All right, peace, guys. It's over now.